Hey there, welcome back to Living in Denver, here with Adam Lang. Really excited to have a very interesting topic for my young professional audience. Today I'm going to be sharing my 3 top neighborhoods in Denver, Colorado for young professionals. You're not going to want to miss this one. In addition to some local insight that I'll be sharing, I'm also going to be talking about just some of the most popular, again, neighborhoods for young professionals here in Denver, Colorado in 2023. Stay tuned. All right, so third, but definitely not third place. So last but not least, we have RiNo. RiNo is another kind of acronym that locals, call it RiNo, but the full name is actually River North, so R-I-N-O. And this is definitely, in my opinion, maybe the best quintessential area for young professionals if you are somebody that really likes living that new style of living where maybe you don't even own a vehicle. Maybe you're, somebody that really likes to rely on public transportation and you're, that type of young professional. RiNo is probably your best bet. RiNo also has a lot to offer, so I'll go through a few different of my favorites here in a second, but RiNo is basically just this former industrial area, and it's been transformed over the last 20 years or so into a vibrant arts district, and it's complete with, street art, different kinds of galleries, really cool creative spaces, different shared workspaces, all sorts of stuff that you really don't find in a lot of the older neighborhoods, and especially not in any of the more suburb style neighborhood and communities in the Denver area. So again, if you're a young professional and you're really edgy and you're kind of forward thinking and progressive, I would say RiNo is a must-see for one of the areas you should check out. As far as its location, as I said earlier, it is very close to Highlands. As far as its physical location, it's bordered by I-70 to the north, Park Avenue West to the south, I-25 to the west, and about Arapahoe Street to the east. And as far as the neighborhoods that are nearby to RiNo, again, Highlands, and another one that's really up and coming is called 5 Points. As far as for young professionals, again, this neighborhood might be my top pick out of all 3 of these neighborhoods I'm sharing with you guys today. It really does encourage an active lifestyle, but again, it has that easy access to downtown Denver. There still are some great parks very close by. And one other thing I want to share with you guys is there's a really nice access to that South Platte River Trail. And that's what I was talking about earlier, about how it's got this continuous trail all the way from basically RiNo all the way to Cherry Creek. So if you do live in RiNo and you want to just, take a bike ride for the afternoon, you can again enjoy this untouched concrete pathway where you're not going to worry about getting hit by any cars or buses or anything like that. You can just enjoy this really nice dedicated path that, again, people love to use for rollerblading, biking, running, or like myself, just walking your dog. So check that out. And RiNo also has some really progressive kind of new age style fitness and just health-minded options when it comes to working out. One of my favorites is a place called Movement RiNo. It's a climbing gym, very cool. And there's also, again, a lot of CrossFit gyms, yoga, Pilates, all of the stuff that the younger generation, a lot of the millennials and the young professionals are kind of focusing on as their favorite style of workout. So you got an endless supply of those options for you if you do live in RiNo. After your workout, a lot of the same people, they like to, go from that straight to enjoying, healthy, fresh options for eating and even grabbing a juice or a coffee. So lots of those available as well. A couple of my favorites for RiNo, there's one that's called the Source Market Hall. It's like a shared, almost like a food truck, food hall, but it's indoors. Lots of really good options there, and it's constantly evolving with new places coming and going. So every time you go there seems to be a new place that's open there, and excited to try whatever's new there. So definitely check out the Source Market Hall. And another one would be it's called the Beatbox Bakery and Cafe. So again, just a really nice healthy spot to grab a juice, or maybe you're not drinking for the month of October and you're just wanting to go somewhere that still has that kind of social vibe where you feel like you are in a social setting but you don't want to be drinking. Definitely check out Beatbox. Very cool spot. Talking again about proximity, RiNo is the closest of all three of the neighborhoods I'm sharing with you guys today. Very close to downtown Denver. And because of that, like I said, with a lot of people potentially not even owning vehicles, you can take public transportation or you can just walk from where you live all the way to where you work. It's very, very walkable. RiNo is, I'd say, one of the most walkable neighborhoods in the entire city of Denver, if you are somebody that lives and wants to work in downtown Denver. Those scooters that I've mentioned a few times in this video, the Uber and the Lime scooters, tons of those in this area. Skateboards, people riding their bikes, just a lot of different, health-focused, types of transportation that you're taking advantage of. So, young professional community in RiNo, very thriving. I would say it's probably, the area I don't want to steer or, speak specifically on demographics, but I would say out of all the neighborhoods around Denver, it's got to be one of the ones that has the most highly condensed, highest amount of young professionals and just a younger demographic. So, as you can imagine, some of the attributes that I've been talking about RiNo, not that many older people, especially people with families, are really choosing that style of neighborhood to live in. So without a doubt, you're gonna find a lot of people that are hopefully maybe similar to you as a young professional in this RiNo area. As I did at the last two, we'll talk a little bit about real estate and housing. Definitely RiNo has a lot of really good mixture of apartments, lofts, townhomes, not as many on the single family homes, but really good mix again of the modern style apartments, lofts, townhomes, that style of living. Lots of good dining and nightlife options, obviously, just being in an area like this. Two of my favorites, for RiNo when it comes to nightlife. As I mentioned earlier, Central Market's a great one. There's also a really good bar called First Draft Tap Room and Kitchen. So check that out if you guys haven't been to that before. One last thing I'll share just on a social, bars type topic. We have the Great American Beer Festival every year, and it's really close to RiNo. It's huge. I think it's like the second biggest in the world after Oktoberfest in Germany. So it's in the fall. I think it's in September, late September. But RiNo gets really, really popular that time of year just with all of the microbreweries and different draft houses that they have in RiNo. So if you're out and about in the Great American Beer Festival weekend, you're gonna see tons of different events and different stuff going on at all of the restaurants and bars. Lots of great outdoor seating options and just very lively all times throughout the year, but especially over the Great American Beer Festival weekend. And then as I did again, we'll talk for a second about real estate and just the housing mix. So, RiNo is unique compared to the last two neighborhoods that I've shared. Wash Park and Highlands both have more of the single family, more of the traditional style housing options. With RiNo and with that industrial past that it had, you're definitely gonna find a different style of homes, but I think it's very unique and great for young professionals. Lots of really cool lofts, converted warehouses that have been turned into these different living spaces. Some of the characteristics of this type of living, a lot of really high ceilings, a lot of exposed brick, just that really kind of industrial, I don't want to use the word cold, but very, a lot of metal, a lot of brick, just very different from what most people are used to seeing and even considering living in. So if you want to kind of mix it up for a few years and live somewhere that's different than maybe what you're traditionally used to, definitely check out RiNo for that too. Since there aren't as many single family homes or duplexes, again, predominant new apartment buildings, condo complexes, and this is an area that is massively expanding. Tons of new development, tons of construction. When I was down there a couple weeks ago, I could have probably counted 3 or 4 cranes throughout the skyline in the RiNo area. And that's kind of how it always is. And that's just again because there are so many new condo and new apartment complexes popping up in this area all the time. So great for young professionals, great for artists, really anyone again that just wants to be living close to all the action. I will also just say that, not quite as common, but you're also gonna see some really modern townhomes in RiNo. They are a nice option if you're looking for something a bit more spacious than an apartment, but you do still want that urban feel. So if what I've been talking about with these just apartment type buildings, if that's not your style, but you still think other parts about RiNo sound intriguing to you, there are still some options. It just might mean that you're gonna be a couple blocks further out, kind of on the outskirts of Rhino. You're not going to be in that kind of center where it's much more urban. You know, just kind of one last thing about just the style of Rhino. So since it is so unique to Rhino with all these creative people hanging around, there are some very interesting live workspaces available. And basically what these are is they're really good for artists or even like small business owners who want to kind of have one place to combine both where they live and where they work. So if you haven't really seen that where you currently live, definitely just look it up in Google, live workspaces, Rhino, or better yet, again, my phone number, my email, shoot me a message. I jump on a Zoom call with you, share my screen even with you, and kind of show you a few examples of what I'm talking about. Really up and coming style of living for young professionals, I would say, are one of the ones that are most excited about this style that's kind of industry leading and a little bit different than what most people are used to. New build construction, again, most of that's going to be apartments. However, you know, Rhino is always evolving. There's always some new construction going on, and I think over time you are still going to see more of those contemporary single-family homes and duplexes popping up. They're just again going to be a little bit more on the outskirts of Rhino. As far as in the heart of Rhino, that's going to be right now with the new construction, more of those very large multifamily buildings, and they're being developed again throughout the neighborhood. Don't quote me on this, but I believe in 2022, last year, we had about 10,000 new units come onto the market. So in the city of Denver, there's 10,000 new apartments, single family homes, just 10,000 units that were built and developed in Denver. I would argue that a good chunk of that came from this Rhino area. So if that puts things into perspective. So finishing up here with Rhino, in a nutshell, it's got a little bit of everything from lofts, these really cool converted warehouse spaces, still though does also offer apartments, condos, townhomes, those live workspaces, which are really fun to check out. And there are still some new builds and a few single family homes. So for young professionals, definitely a fantastic place to live. And if you're into art, being very creative and just forward thinking and progressive, that urban lifestyle that Rhino provides you is definitely one of the spots you should be checking out.